Led Zeppelin, a game that has been divisive from the get-go, whether we're talking about the theme, the layout, or the artwork. In this video, we have a hands-on gameplay review going over the various aspects of the Pro model while providing some pros and cons of this game so you can decide whether or not this game is worth checking out. Truthfully, when I first got this game, I assumed I'd be spending just a couple of months playing it and sending it on its way. But I must say, this game has grown on me as I'm really appreciating that the simplicity of the layout itself combined with a layered rule set creates dynamic decisions that are very accessible in achieving intended outcomes. Or simply put, the game makes sense. Of course, this simplicity does come with its drawbacks, which we'll cover later in this video. Hopping right into the meat and potatoes of this game, features include 3 flippers, 3 ramps, 4 sets of stand-up targets, 1 set of drop targets, and 2 ejects. There's also a sculpted 13-inch Hindenburg Zeppelin located at the left ramp, which acts as a virtual lock for the Zeppelin multiball with 3 green LEDs indicating ball locks. Located by the center ramp, you'll find an Icarus custom sculpt toy that bounces in the air when the mech below is hit. This mech is useful for cashing in multipliers and add a ball during multiball. The layout for the most part has a lot of typical Steve Ritchie flow that we've come accustomed to. The left and center ramps play very smooth, and the ejects will typically return the ball back to the flippers in a safe manner, assuming that your game's dialed in properly. What I found really unique about this particular game was everything from the left side to the center was easily accessible, fairly easy shots, but the right side difficulty is noticeably tougher. I believe this is due to both the right ramp and the right flipper location. The right ramp itself is far from the flippers. While it does have a satisfying finish due to the quick 180-degree turnaround wire form, this also leads to a lot of potential rejects. Also, unlike the premium and LE versions of this pin, backhanding the right ramp has proven to be very difficult on the Pro model, as I have yet to actually complete that backhand no matter how the pin is set up. The right orbit shot becomes very important to hit as it leads to the upper eject, which in turn allows for the song to change during gameplay when qualified. A big difference between the Pro model and the Premium and LE models is the omission of the side ramp, which return the ball back to the right flipper. Instead, it's replaced with a target known as the hermit target. The upper flipper to the hermit target shot is one of the most difficult shots, if not the most difficult shot I've ever run into before. Because of the location, the timing is very difficult to judge when that ball is on the fly around the left orbit. I often find myself completing that side target as a result of the ball being slowed down by the pops or the upper eject. Now, a mini hack around this is to simply prioritize backhanding the spinner in an effort to keep the ball speed down and give an easier shot to that hermit target. This target does ultimately play a huge part of the rule set, including activating super features, mode scoring, adding additional Icarus multiplier time, and as part of the Level 4 UK Tour 1971 Tour mode. Because of this, you will still find yourself actively shooting for that side target and utilizing the upper flipper in a lot of situations. Unfortunately, I have run into several instances of the ball draining shortly after hitting that shot, but fear not, there is a temporary ball save that activates when you happen to hit that hermit target. Just make sure that you're actively plunging manually, or the auto plunge will immediately send the ball out of control. I can confirm after playing 150 plus games that the center ramp is by very definition accessible. However, I can't really find any reason to actively go for that ramp with the upper flipper, as I've legitimately hit the shot only a handful of times on purpose, and the code itself doesn't incentivize the risk for such a shot in the first place. Also, prepare for longer than normal ball times. With the pin set up on default settings or as is out of box, the amount of 15-minute plus games far exceed any of the gameplay I've had on any other recent Stern. There are a few reasons for this. One, because the more difficult shots are far from the flippers. Oftentimes a missed shot, it just simply won't be punished with outlane drains. Also, the wide open playfield really doesn't lend itself to too many chaotic moments. And finally, having a ball save target on the left hand side that for now, as of the current code, can just be continuously lit, you find yourself being able to play a relatively safe game. The rule set itself is pretty unique from what we've become accustomed to in the past few years. The foundation is really laid out that the code itself will flesh out towards a great conclusion, as it's already a lot of fun at 0.93. The combo system is in place as marked by the inserts on the playfield. I really enjoy that the combos themselves become essential towards building your Icarus multiplier, which acts as a Playfield multiplier once all the targets are complete, and the Ick on a stick is activated. I do like that this mech has some give to it, as it's not really a dangerous shot, and it has the functional capacity of a bash toy, even though I wouldn't technically label it a bash toy. Led Zeppelin ultimately revolves around collecting record sales for every game. Record sales are gained through a cumulative effort of switches, time the ball is actively in play, and completing song mode shots. The goal is to collect at least 5 gold records to complete a song and collect 10 gold records to go platinum and completely finish the song. Speaking of multiballs, this game deceivingly has a lot of multiball action built into it. The Pro comes with 2 primary multiballs, the Zeppelin, which is a 3-ball multiball with virtual locks located at the left ramp, and the second primary multiball is found via the tour modes. Within these tour modes, there's actually 5 different multiballs, all with their own unique rule set, with one of those multiballs being the World Tour Wizard mode. The idea is you want to go on tour and complete an objective that is tied to that particular tour. Throughout the game, you get to choose between 4 different modes in which each tour mode has additional objectives based on how many tours you've already played. For example, your first tour will have 1 objective, your second tour will have 2 objectives, and so on. The core mechanics of lighting these modes are simple, as you just hit a certain number of shots on the right ramp to qualify modes, which become lit at the left eject. Once you complete the objectives of a tour that you've chosen, the left eject will then light for that mode's multiball. The great nuance to all of this is that each multiball in this tour mode has a jackpot value that will carry over to other tour multiballs. For those that really want to go down the rabbit hole, when you actively try to make the best decisions, you end up actually really thinking about how easy it is to complete that tour, and whether or not that particular tour's multiball rule set meshes well with the song that you're currently in. World Tour Wizard mode is qualified after finishing the previous 4 tours. This mode is a 6-ball multiball that engages every major shot in the game and the target banks. The idea is that you want to collect enough miles to eventually light a city for a jackpot. There's 10 cities total that are assigned a certain amount of miles for each one to qualify. The mode itself is unique in that it requires a bit of chaos combined with elements of control. The chaos part is generally collecting miles via every single shot possible, while the control elements come into play when you need to collect a city jackpot, as your miles will be paused until then. The top of the charts wizard mode can either be accessed at the start button or qualified in-game by collecting 5 gold records on all 10 songs. This mode is one in which you definitely want to crank up the sound, as you'll be tasked with playing every song that you have yet to complete. The main goal is to get 10 gold records of platinum status to qualify the question mark multiball, which is the final wizard mode. However, that is not currently coded into the game as of this review. What I really liked about this mode was how easily the music flowed when you did platinum a particular song. I also really enjoyed that the 10th and final gold record is always on the left eject. It gave a sense of pressure that you need to hit this one final shot. That being said, if you're a fairly accurate player, there is some strategy involved, as you'll be able to park balls into the ejects to make your life easier collecting album cells at various list shots around the playfield. This wizard mode is really accessible to the player in general and isn't impossible to complete, as it seems the rule set of it is really aimed to help you along the way towards the final wizard mode. The Pro package is covered with Led Zeppelin 3 album artwork. Getting down to it, it does a great job in staying faithful to Led Zeppelin because this art is directly used on one of their albums. The cabinet artwork itself visually appears simple, however, this obviously is the original artist's intended take. I'm not a fan of the translite, as everything is pretty jumbled together in what doesn't seem like a coherent fashion, with stars, butterflies, circles, and a band member that literally appears baked out of their mind. But again, it's art, and that in itself is going to be pretty subjective. The Playfield art at first glance is very simplistic compared to the art packages Stern typically brings. However, the color scheme does end up creating a look that is actually very pleasing to the eye, and it brightens up the entire playfield. And despite there being 13 RGB lights for the Pro, it actually ends up working pretty cohesively with the lighting choices Stern has made. The inserts do a solid job at allowing the player to understand what is happening during the game. Every major action of the game is labeled via these inserts, including combos, current shots, individual targets, and current tour modes. From a code standpoint, it's always tough to code any type of true theme integration. While the tours do have objectives, it's hard to get any sense that you're actually doing anything related to being on tour, as the mode starts without any fanfare once you do choose the tour or the mode you want to play. What I think would really improve this is an additional light show combined with callouts indicating that your tour has begun. On the plus side, having a solo be one continuous lit shot is a really nice touch that really brings your attention to be aware of where you're at in the song. And it's also just flat out fun to flow crush a ramp over and over again while progressing in the game. The pin does look like one giant album cover and the music sound is crisp, especially if you use an external subwoofer, and the callouts do add to the immersion of this game. It's clear that Icarus and Zeppelin itself are big parts of the overall asset, as there's multiple uses of these items under the glass, on the playfield, and the apron. Overall, the lack of a side ramp return and an upper flipper with a primary shot that leads to a dead end is a major drawback. However, the unique rule set is a very strong area of this pin that will keep rule set junkies happy, as there's many different ways to approach this particular pin. Combine that with the classic Led Zeppelin music and shots that are very accessible, this is a pin that is worthy of your quarters on location and will provide fun times with the music cranked up. I do believe though that public opinion will dramatically go to the positive once more premiums and LEs get out in the wild and people get a chance to play those machines. That being said, I am really enjoying my Pro, and I do plan on moving up to the Premium eventually when that time comes, because I really do want to see that side ramp in action. But other than that though, the game is fantastic. All right, that'll wrap it up. Thank you guys once again for your continued support of the channel. Let me know in the comments below what you think of this game. What works, what doesn't work. Until next time, y'all take care.